1 million extra tons. It's enough stuff to fill all of the Pepsi Center, floor to ceiling, or about half of Mile High Stadium. It's also the amount of extra waste Americans throw out every holiday season. Items like wrapping paper, cardboard boxes, and Christmas trees are huge culprits, but the biggest offender of all is your dinner table. Nearly half of that 1 million extra tons is food waste, from Aunt Bertha's fruitcake to the leftover ham you've been ignoring. But waste isn't the only way. In the days between Christmas and New Year's Day, we talked with Jessie Burley of High Country Conservation Center to learn more about waste at the holidays. She talks about what to do with food, wrapping paper, and even Christmas lights, and reminds everyone that consumers have the power to cut back on waste long before it ever hits the trash can. Phil Lindeman, Krystal 93 News Director, and I'm here in the studio today with Jessie Burley. She's the Programs Director at High Country Conservation Center in Dillon. How are you this morning?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. And holidays are here. The holidays have arrived, and we're going to be talking about waste and conservation at the holidays because, man, we were just talking, there are some pretty shocking facts about how much ends up in the trash at the holidays.
Yeah, it's scary. Between Thanksgiving and New Year's, we have about 1 million tons more waste that goes to our landfills than during the rest of the year.
1 million
it's pretty
tons.
Amazing. Yeah.
And it increases by 1 million tons from what's normal. So that's in addition
Right.
to the waste that's happening.
And
anyway.
Americans are some of the most wasteful people on earth, so that's just adding to the problem for sure.
Yeah, but it's still the holidays, and it's kind of we like to celebrate, we like to give gifts, we like to get together for dinner. What are some of the biggest offenders of waste at the holidays?
Yeah, well, food in general is one of our biggest offenders. 40% of our waste stream is made up of food. Christmas trees are another one. They're organic material, and we can actually compost them, but a lot of people trash them anyway. And then packaging from your consumer products, your gifts, your wrapping, your cards, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, tons of things too, that people either use for one day and then it's gone, or they decide to toss it out. Wanted to start with the food waste because that is the biggest issue. When it comes to food, what are people throwing away? Is it just that lots of leftovers are getting tossed out? Is it that lots of uneaten cookies are getting tossed out? Is it just a mix of everything?
Yeah, it's kind of everything. Food, we have a hierarchy. We want to eat the good food. We want to be able to donate food that's still good. And then we want to ultimately compost food that's no longer edible. But all of those end up in the landfill just for a convenience factor. But you're right. It's leftovers. It's uneaten food. It's everything.
Trees. They're another thing. Trees are another something that can be composted.
That's
it's an
right.
organic material.
Yeah.
How many trees end up in landfills?
I don't know the exact numbers, but if you think about, even if 50% of the households, even in our own community, have Christmas trees, they need to get rid of them. They're very much a disposable item. You have them for 1 month and then you get rid of them. So it's quite a bit of material. And if you can divert it from the landfill, you can put it to good use. So by composting it, you can create, nutrient-rich soil that can be used again in landscapes and gardens.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with the food waste. Now, how does HC3 then fit into everything? So High Country Conservation Center, your mission is conservation and recycling and, being able to combat some of these waste streams in the mountains. Let's start with food at the holidays. How could people, be a little more thoughtful with their food waste?
So we like to recommend when you're shopping that you really plan ahead. You don't just buy stuff in excess. Really think about what are you buying and what are your portions and how many people are you going to feed? Is there an outlet at the end of the day? Can you take uneaten food to the local food bank or to a community dinner, for example? If you do have food that's left over, we have a program, a food scrap drop-off program. Right now, the locations are Frisco and Breckenridge recycling centers. It is a fee-for-service program. So residents can take up to 10 gallons per week to the drop-off centers. And we use that money to pay our hauler who takes the material from those drop-off centers up to the compost facility at the scrap.
Okay, and what kind of food is good for that program?
So that program is done through an industrial facility, so we can take all food scraps. So if you're backyard composting, you want to avoid things like protein, bones, meat, things that are going to rot and sort of cause that odor problem and attract critters. But the facility up at the scrap is fantastic. We can put anything that you would eat basically into that pile.
Okay, great. So it's really open, like you said. It's more than just your backyard composting. Anything and everything can be taken on to that.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, that's a great program that I don't think a lot of folks knew about. What are the fees? Do they change based on how much you have?
Right now, the fees are $15 a month, or if you buy for the whole year, it's $10 a month. So you get a bit of a break if you purchase in advance.
Not a bad Christmas gift for somebody.
Yeah,
if you want
right.
to be thinking ahead to a Christmas gift they'll use all season long.
Yeah.
Trees. What can be done for trees after we're done with those?
Yeah, so community events here in Summit County will take trees for example, Breckenridge will use them in the Uller Fest bonfire. Frisco will use it in their spontaneous combustion event. So you can take trees if you live in Frisco to the Marina lot on the corner of Marina Road and Summit Boulevard. Breckenridge will take them at Wellington Road by the Old Horse Stables. Town of Dillon will take them at Town Hall, and they get chipped and composted at the county facility. And then Silverthorne will take them at Trent Park by Willowbrook through the end of January as well to chip for mulch. So they all the towns will collect trees for various purposes this season.
Right. So yeah, like you said, they could either become mulch or you could have fun with it and go see it set on fire at the Uller-Fest parade at spontaneous combustion.
Hopefully we'll get some snow out of the deal.
Yeah, right. Right. If you sacrifice something to Uller, it better come with a little bit of payoff for us. Great. So lots of places to take your tree after you're done with it. Then moving on to the other big piece of waste, packaging. And we were talking a little bit about kind of the culture and the way things are these days, like the fact that so much shopping is done online, which leads to a lot of waste. How can people kind of cut back on that? Whether you've already ordered and you got lots of cardboard sitting around, or whether you're, thinking about returns now and some of those other things.
Sure. Of course, when you're shopping, we always want to help promote local business, so getting people in the door to businesses in our own community. But if you do decide to shop online, which no one, disputes the fact of how convenient it is, try to package things together so they arrive in one package versus, 5 packages from Amazon, for example. But all cardboard boxes are recyclable, so it's something that, you just have to be cognizant at the end of your unwrapping, if you will, that you're making sure that you're putting that stuff in the recycle bin versus your trash. Yeah,
just being aware with what you're doing with it. And it's not too difficult to, like you said, set aside a recycle pile and set aside a trash pile. What sort of stuff just is not good for recycling? Or, what sort of stuff just can you not put in there? Or can just about everything?
No. So if you go with the just about everything model, there's a lot of contamination issues that can ruin the rest of the recycling. So I'm glad you asked that. Some of the biggest offenders are your plastic film. So, if you got a jacket and it was wrapped in a plastic bag, a lot of people want to recycle that because it's plastic, but we're really after sort of your bottle containers or your yogurt containers, for example, but not your plastic film. So bags are absolutely a no-go.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking like DVD, the plastic that comes wrapped around DVDs and CDs.
Exactly. And even like if you got something, with those really difficult plastic packaging that you have to take your like shears to and really dig in, like that kind of plastic is not recyclable here either.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of unfortunate that it's not recyclable, because I have heard that one of the hot toys this year is something called the LOL Big Surprise, and it is made to unwrap. It is a big giant ball that has about 45 individually wrapped things on the inside. And from what I hear, I've never seen one, they're all individually wrapped in that kind of plastic that just can't be recycled.
Yeah, that's wild. This is the first I've heard of it too, and it just is crazy. But that just goes to show we have a very disposable culture, and that a lot of recycling and a lot of waste reduction is cultural and behavioral. And so you as a consumer can make sure that you're not buying those types of gifts, and that puts a demand on the manufacturer to say, we actually don't want this.
Yeah, like you said, you can speak with your money. It's the easiest way to do so. And then on top of it, speak with your actions after you buy, by being a little more aware of where your waste is going after the holidays. But of course, HC3, you have programs going all year long. Things are happening even when the holidays aren't here. What else does HC3 do locally to help with conservation and keep people's minds on reusing and reducing?
Yeah, so recycling and waste reduction is definitely our bread and butter. I mentioned the food scrap program. We help do education and outreach in the schools. We run a recycling hotline where residents and businesses can give us a call, and we have the recycling answers for you. But beyond that, we also do energy efficiency in businesses and homes. So this time of year, it's a great time to, check in on the comfort of your home and make sure that your home is energy efficient and that you're not wasting money, literally blowing out the door. We also do water conservation work. We have community gardens in the summer, so local food programs, and we also have a sustainable business program. So you might see stickers on people's doors that say resource wise, and it just means that they've gone through a process to be certified through our program as a sustainable business.
Yeah, all sorts of programs for people of, from individual homeowners to business owners. What are some quick tips, some tricks that people can do, throughout the year to conserve, even when the holidays aren't here?
I think the biggest thing is what you're consuming. So before you go to the store, consider what it is that you're buying and why. And then consider things at the end of life. So don't buy products that are cheap and disposable that you can get rid of in a year. Do you really need a new iPhone X? And then beyond that, just checking in every once in a while. It's sort of like a doctor's visit on your body, right? Just checking in to make sure your home or your car is being as efficient as possible. And if it's not, what little things can you do to make sure that, you're improving the performance of your vehicle or your house or something like that.
And a lot of those measures, they're more than just cost-saving measures. They really can kind of maybe prolong the life of some of your things over time as well.
Absolutely. We've lost sight of the fact that we used to fix things. And that things, used to be repaired, and there was a whole industry of people that were good at repairing things. And, for the most part, we've gone away from that. It's such a disposable society. We're so used to throwing things away. So, again, how can you repair that pair of shoes instead of buying a new one? Or, make sure you're repairing your car instead of going out and buying a new one. So it's just asking yourself behavioral questions that seem like everyday things, but really get to the heart of this.
Yeah, and almost like purchasing a food disposal membership for somebody. Who knows, maybe learning a new skill or talent could be that Christmas gift that you give yourself so that you don't have to be spending all that money many years down the road. Finally, when it comes to High Country Conservation Center, how can people get involved, other than just in their own lives? Are there ways to get involved with the center outside of just...
Absolutely. We have volunteer opportunities throughout the year. A lot of it revolves around our garden and food programs, but we have events throughout the year. For example, we have the Wild and Scenic Film Festival coming up. It's a joint partnership with the Continental Divide Land Trust in January on Saturday the 13th. And we need volunteers for that. We also do zero waste events. You may see us out there with our green recycling t-shirts at events like the Frisco Barbecue and Keystone Bluegrass and Beer, for example. And we need a host of volunteers to help us at those events as well. So check out our website, highcountryconservation.org, or give us a call at 668-5703.
Great. And that Wild and Scenic Festival, like you said, that is right around the corner. What kind of stuff can people expect if they come out to that?
So the Wild and Scenic Film Festival this year will show 12 films, action-oriented and nature films, and they're designed to get people inspired and take action around the environmental movement. As I mentioned, Continental Divide Land Trust and High Country Conservation Center share joint missions in resource conservation. And so we have a great door prize lineup. We've got some skis from Faction. We've got some fish pond gear. We've got some stuff from Epic Promise. So we're really excited about our sponsors and what we can share with the community at that event.
Yeah, sounds great. And then on top of it, you get to see some great films, get to see some inspiring films as well. Great. Finally, anything else people can do at the holidays to just be a little more aware that you can think of?
You know, we get questions a lot about Christmas lights and wrapping paper.
Oh, Christmas lights, true.
Yeah, so don't just throw your Christmas lights in the recycle bin because they're plastic. You know, make sure that you're recycling them. There's programs online that you can check out and ship your lights back, and they give you coupons for more energy efficient LED Christmas lights. And then the wrapping paper, just one last thing, you know, you can always find stuff around the house to wrap your gifts in, get creative, use the comics, the newspapers, old paper bags.
So it sounds like grandma. That's what grandma used to do.
Yeah, exactly. Make it an arts and crafts project. But if you do buy wrapping paper, you know, make sure that you're buying stuff that can be recycled, meaning no glitter, no shiny foily stuff, straight up paper, and that can go in the recycle bin and get turned into new paper. So.
All right. So at the holidays, it's not too difficult to avoid adding to that 1 million extra tons of waste, as long as you're thinking ahead about it and just being a little more considerate.
Yep.
About
tell your
sugar.
friends.
Absolutely. Tell all the friends, spread the word around. And Jessie, thanks again for making time to come in and talk about conservation at the holidays.
Thank you.
Jessie Burley with High Country Conservation Center on Krystal 93.